A fresh perspective.
Stay tuned to Rise and Shine
On Channel Africa.
Right, 7:22 Central African Time. Now, the first group of white Afrikaners granted refugee status by the U.S. government is expected to arrive in Washington this morning. They departed OR Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg last night, and the group reportedly includes 49 Afrikaners, comprising families, older people, and some younger couples. The chartered aircraft is expected to arrive at Dulles International Airport, just outside Washington, D.C. We're now joined on the line by the founder of a grassroots group called Amerikaners, Sam Busa. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks for having me on.
So what can you tell us about this group that's coming? Are they refugees for real?
Well, they've made application as refugees under the executive order issued by President Trump in early February. So yes, their legal status is as refugees, and there are many more. So that's the first group of a pilot group. It's a pilot group of a much larger body of people who have made application to take up this offer in America.
Is there any special paperwork they have to fill in, reasons for leaving? What's been the main one?
Well, the information we've received has been somewhat fuzzy because there has, obviously been some clarification after the executive order, but we haven't received formal guidelines yet. So the eligibility criteria, we still reference the word Afrikaners. And in South Africa, we all know exactly what Afrikaners means. So obviously there are a lot of English-speaking South Africans who are saying, hey, what about me? So that clarity has not come through yet. So we have deduced, based on the information we have been given, which is scant, and the fact that an email address was made available, we have made a statement. So this is like the application. We've made a statement as an expression of interest to a particular email address that's been given to access a state.gov official. Okay, and as part of that, we've also run around, we're obtaining our passports, etc. So we're all sitting on a list. Amerikaners.com has 42,000 people, just us, as a movement of folks that came together by virtue of their interest in the program. So we have 42,000 people that would like to go to America. So the 50 people going now is very much the pilot group.
All right. So I spoke to a lawyer a little bit earlier on, and there is a question about what if the administration changes and this group of people, whatever number it reaches, if there's a change in administration in the US, is there no fear that you might be sent back if the new administration decides that you're not refugees, you don't qualify for refugee status?
Well, the chances of that are minuscule to zero. And the reason is that, first of all, the administration could only change in just under 4 years' time. So by that time, within a year, when you arrive in America, within a year you get your green card, you obtain permanent residency. That does not necessarily lose you, that does not see you lose the status of refugee, but you do obtain your green card. Then a further 5 years later, you would qualify as a citizen. You'd be naturalized. Now, the executive order, as it's written, has been backed up with Congressman Troy Nels of Texas submitted to Congress the Afrikaner Act. So there is clear intent to codify the executive order. However, even if that doesn't codify the executive order, never in history has an executive order been retrospectively cancelled. So even if a new president comes in, he's a Democrat and decides, no, this is not good, etc., he may cancel the executive order effective from that date, not effective back to February 7, 2025. So there's almost zero chance of that happening.
Tell me about the people that are applying. Where are they from? Who are they? Is it from all over the country? Where are they from? Who are they?
Well, it is from all over the country. I think a lot of people are feeling very dispossessed in their own country by virtue of, laws on the statute books, by virtue of songs that are being sung, by virtue of there simply being no future to buy a little piece of land and build a family, etc., because of the fear hanging over their heads, real or perceived. That perception exists, and it's very strong, that there's no future for Caucasian white South Africans in this country, and those folks that are feeling that intensely have obviously risen up all over the country and come forward and said, look, I just want to go to a place where this fear doesn't exist.
So when we talk about refugees, you're seeking refuge from what? Economic issues, or is this genuine safety issues? What are the issues?
Well, the primary issues are the legislative walls closing in on white South Africans. And, whereas we've had lots of chats with the international press recently, sort of recoil when we use the term black and white,
So
the reality
economic.
is no, not at all, but those words are used in our legislation in this country to preclude white folks from obviously running businesses without having to offer up a percentage of their businesses, from obtaining jobs,
but the reality
from
is, though,
dealing with
reality
quotas
is,
in
though,
universities.
The reality is, though, as a white person, you are the most employed in South Africa, percentage-wise.
That may be so, and you know what? We all got along relatively well. What happened recently in the last 4 months, Peter, is that the Expropriation Without Compensation Act, I think, was the log that broke the camel's back. All it needed was a straw. And expropriation without compensation is just a horrifying elimination of one's hope for the future, to raise your family on a piece of ground, wherever that might be. And the truth is, whereas it may be economic on some level, in fairness, there has been this back-to-back barrage of legislation. So the Employment Equity Amendment Act, plus the expropriation without compensation, plus the Bella Bill, add that all together, and it feels like an onslaught. So the perception is there's a problem, and then Trump made this offer. And any reasonable thinking person would say, look, that makes sense to me. But it's not only economic, not at all.
Sam, we're going to have to leave it there, but thanks so much indeed for joining us on the program. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Peter. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. That's Sam Busa, who's the founder of the Grassroots called Amerikaners. And this is all about white Afrikaners, if you're colored, forget it, mate, that have been given refugee status by